Hey man, y'all got some cigarettes up in there? Like, no, bro, we got some guns.
Got a lot of guns.
We got a whole lot of guns. All right, Johnny J. I'm glad you're on, dude.
Yeah, glad to be here, man. Thanks for bringing me in.
Is this your first podcast?
Not my first, but my first in a while, especially kind of talking about some of the stuff we're going to get into. But
what are we getting into?
I don't know.
Don't even know.
We don't know. You haven't sent me any notes. You just said, hey, I think your background fits with some of the stuff that, we want to make this podcast episode a little bit different. And so here we are a little bit.
Yeah. Well, go ahead and introduce yourself real quick and kind of tell people why I got you here.
Sure. I guess I'll start with my background. I was on active duty for about 5 years with the Air Force as a security forces officer. So I will make the disclaimer that I'm still in the reserves right now currently. So I've been in 11 years. So everything that I say is not an official government position, has no reflection upon the Air Force. All of my opinions are my own, and they are here to stay.
Yeah.
So I was in the Air Force on active duty. I did some physical security and then also law enforcement in Montana for a few years. Then I was an instructor for a couple years, got out, stayed in the reserves, still serving in that capacity. Whenever I got out, I transitioned to law enforcement, went through the State Police Academy, got through that. And then I was a state trooper for 5 years. And then I exited that, kind of shocking after all the, kind of COVID and then the George Floyd riots and protests and kind of all the fallout from after that. And I would say that, we saw that all over the country.
Yeah.
We saw that with administrations making poor decisions based on an isolated incident that, quite frankly, I don't know if everyone had all the facts as that was ongoing and unfolding. I think now we look back and we see a lot of things and it's like, did we handle that correctly? I mean, even some of the organizations that popped up, even like, BLM, for example, I think 2 years ago, it came out that they had a bunch of fraud going on within that organization that was an organization that was touting, support in a way. And so I ended up leaving in May of 23. I resigned my commission. Good standings, there was nothing there. It just wasn't where I needed to be personally. And so now I'm totally out of that industry. In a whole different world, in the sales world now, but I have the background to have this conversation a little bit.
Yeah.
Obviously, hunting enthusiast. I don't want to say I'm a gun enthusiast. I'm not one of these guys who just has lockers full of guns or anything like that. But what I do have, I enjoy, take care of it. I like to think like quality over quantity.
Mm-hmm.
And there's only so many guns that you can hold at one time and actually use it at one time. So, so I guess that's why I'm sitting here right now.
Yeah. Well, and you still you train jiu-jitsu a ton.
Oh yeah.
Dude, that video the other day of your fingers. Oh my.
Yeah. Maybe you can link that in here.
Oh my God. Yes. I'll put it up
for sure.
Your fingers, I'm just trying to, these cables over here, which they're locked down. Your fingers were bending in ways in multiple different places they're not supposed to bend.
Yeah. So I guess, so I train at Krone Gracie here in West Monroe, and I put my hand on the mat, and I've been training for over 6 years now, so I should have known better in the position that I was in, but I had my hand on the mat and ended up dislocating my pinky, and it looked like it just got crumpled up.
Was it just your pinky?
It was just my pinky, thankfully. But and then my buddy Dylan ended up putting it back in place in the locker room
on video.
About 10 minutes after that. We did call our friend who's an ER doc, send him pictures, and he's like, yes, it is dislocated. Here's what you can do. If it doesn't go back in, come see me.
Yeah.
He put it back in. We trained a couple more rounds. I taped it up and held onto a tennis ball. I'm still kind of getting over it, but I can bend it. I just can't close it all the way. This one I can close, but this one is kind of
Who knows? You probably won't ever be able to.
Probably not. That's what I hear.
That's how that kind of stuff happens.
But train jiu-jitsu, 3-4 days a week. Been doing that. Really started whenever I was in the military. We have a combatives program that is really based in jiu-jitsu. Whenever I was an instructor in the Air Force, I went and got certified as a master combatives instructor. It sounds better than it really is. It's really just kind of like a 2-week immersion camp in that. And it just certifies you to teach others as we go through that. And then whenever I left and got into the state police, I knew right whenever I got out of the academy, because we go through 2 weeks of defensive tactics, I was like, man, like, why haven't I been training this whole time? Especially when you're single, you have all the time in the world. So picked it up. And then whenever I was in the state police, I was a defensive tactics instructor, taught students, I taught in services. So it was just a passion of mine, still is.
Yeah. Well, like going back, like we're kind of going right in, but one of the things that I told you I wanted to talk about was like, we have more black polymer up here, more cans. I mean, we have everything from elk rifles to 12.5-inch BCMs to 43. I mean, all pistol. We got everything, whatever we want. Like, we have some fun stuff here, but like being prepared, I guess not so much just self-defense, or like, I don't want to just talk about guns. I just want to kind of talk about being prepared, because nobody ever thinks they're going to get run over in a crowd. And I get there's not really, like, you don't have self-inflatables that, or airbags that deploy right before you get ran over. Right. Like, those people, there's nothing they could have probably done other than not being in freaking Bourbon Street or on Bourbon Street. Yeah. Like, I don't know about you. I don't like big crowds. Like, I love people and I love doing this. I'll talk to, like I said, the homeless dude that's asking for a cigarette.
That's right.
I'll talk to anybody and get them all in and have a good time. But I'm not going around big crowds of people. I don't like that, especially not in the world we are today, because it's easy for us just to, I don't know, throw out the fact that, or throw out the thought that this is not going to happen to us. Like, we're not going to get run over in a crowd. Like, nobody's going to come running through this podcast studio and or bust the door down and shoot us. Like, that's not going to happen. But it happens to people every day. And I don't know if it's happening more. I don't know if you've had this conversation. I don't know if it's happening more now, like more these days than, or just say within the last number of years, if it's happening more now than it has in the past, or if it's just because you have social media and it gets posted instantly for the world to see. So I don't know. There's always been evil. There's always been corruption. There's always been just the devil's work going on. But needless to say, I don't want to get caught with my pants down. And so that's kind of what I want to talk to you about, like some of the things that you've seen. And I don't know, how can people be prepared, whether it's fires or shootings?
Well, I mean, there's so many places to go with that. And I guess I'll start, right where you said. So I've worked a bunch of Mardi Gras details with the state police, and what that entails is working on Bourbon Street. You're on foot patrol, been in a foot chases, you're breaking up fights. Dudes are trying to fight you. Going back to that, like, hey, are you prepared to handle yourself?
Yeah.
So I've been there, and actually so my cousin went to Tulane, and she loves New Orleans, and she texted me right after it happened. It was probably a day after it happened. And she's like, man, we were down there 2 years ago. And she's like, we took a picture on Bourbon Street. She's like, it was about at the same time too. And I was like, wait, we did take a picture, didn't we? So I'd look through my phone, and I'm like, oh my gosh, 2:12 a.m., me and my cousin standing on Bourbon Street. I'm in uniform. We're just smiling, having a good time. And I mean, of course, the incident happened at 3:15 a.m., but the reality is, like you said, is like, no one expects that to happen. Mm-hmm. I mean, how many times have I been standing and there's crowds of people flocking? They're going to bars, they're having a good time, they're dancing, and then, something happens. And so, we just never expect that. And that kind of like set in the reality of like, man, like bad stuff does happen all the time. And not, and I guess it's set in that reality for the regular person. I mean, as a police officer, you deal with chaotic environments a lot more often than other people do, or even critical incidents. And whether that's a car wreck, or you're dealing with someone who just got robbed, or, six that are kind of go down the list for it. So I think like going back to the preparedness is like, how do you prepare for that? Cause I'm with you. Like like New Year's Eve, Bourbon Street, that's not real place where I want to be. Now live your life how you want to though. Like hey, if that's your thing, if you like to go out and be in those situations, by all means do it. But how do you prepare yourself if something goes wrong? And, and that's kind of part, like I use that part of my story. About 6 years ago, I stopped drinking, and, I wasn't ever really a big drinker, but it was just kind of part of the feeling of like, man, what if something happens and I've had a couple drinks? Like, would I be able to handle myself? Would I be able to help someone else out? Would I be in the state that I need to be? And it was an easy decision for me because, like I said, it really wasn't ever a big thing, but there's just trade-offs for everything that we do. And so like, how do you set yourself up for I don't even want to call it success because there's so many things that we can't plan for.
Right.
But like taking calculated risks. And I think that like if we're gonna put ourselves in a situation where there's a lot of crowds, it's a big event, like what does that mean? Hey, maybe if normally you do drink, you don't drink, or if there's a big group, like, a couple of you aren't, just little things like that. I think those are a lot more calculated decisions that people could really consider when they're in these types of environments. Going back to what you said again, like the world is changing, and I don't think that more things are happening that haven't happened before. I think that the social media aspect of it is, hey, I'm recording these things, I'm seeing them immediately, boom, here we go. So, I'm kind of jumping around to every place here, but like being prepared, like, and the question really is like, what does that mean to the lay person? What is preparedness? Yeah. For me, I think the first thing of being prepared is just having plans for what you're doing, and, using the New Orleans scenario. I mean, let's say I'm down in New Orleans for a wedding, okay, well, it would be nice to know where the wedding's at. First of all, how I'm getting there, how I'm going to leave. Have we thought through that? Because like whenever we don't actually prepare, then anything that's going to happen is just going to unfold, right? But if we've actually thought through, just the simple fact of how am I going to get home? Is it an Uber? Is it a taxi? Is it I'm driving? Is it someone else is driving? Like, I think that's the first thing that people need to be better at, because like the world's not just an inherently nice place as we've seen. Yeah. And, using the New Orleans example, like that place has changed so much in the past 10 years, really.
In what way?
I mean, firsthand, I have a good friend. He was down there for a conference 2 years ago. And he was staying at a nice hotel downtown on Canal Street. And he was walking 2 blocks. He wanted to go to a restaurant. And he says that he's standing on the street corner and he's about to cross the street. And he says, there's a guy on a bicycle coming towards him, not across the street, but essentially paralleling towards him. And the guy just starts screaming at him, like trying to get his attention for whatever. And he's like, and this is at a time where there'd been a lot of muggings, carjackings were up through the roof. It was a big deal going on. And he's like, I just took off sprinting. And he's like, I didn't wait for anything. I didn't do anything. He's like, I knew I needed to go to get to the door 2 blocks away where I needed to go.
Right.
And he's like, this guy was following me. I mean, it's hard to outrun a bike, but he had some distance on him. And it's just little things like that. So like, just talk about this mindset. It's something that you really have to cultivate, and I'm going to pick on police officers right here. I mean, there is so many police officers who, man, like they go hands-on. I mean, and you see it all the time on officer involved, like Instagram has this page called officer involved or police post or whatever pages you follow. And you're seeing these guys and they can't even put a guy in handcuffs. It's like, well, how much training has this officer gotten? And that goes into the preparedness for that officer. Like a badge and a gun does pretty little for you at the end of the day, because it's not like all or nothing. And so, that lack of planning and preparedness leads to poor decisions down the road. So kind of circling it back, back to this New Orleans incident is like, if more people had plans, like there's more optimal outcomes that will follow. And I think that a lot of people just kind of like, yeah, we're going out tonight. And that's it. That's all we think about. We're going to go hang out with our friends. We're going to go to the bar. After the bar, we're going to go to Waffle House or we're going to do whatever. And there's just not a lot of thought that goes into it.
Just have fun. Because nothing's going to happen to us.
Nothing's ever going to happen.
And most of the time it's not. And hopefully it's not going to ever happen to us. But,
well, hope is not a strategy, though.
That's not a strategy. No, like I'm sure most people listening, most guys, I would think that most people are like this. I'm assuming you and like, I know you probably are too. When you and Taylor, when y'all go to a restaurant to go sit down, what seat are you taking? Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
Like we're all going to do that. Like when we go to family outings and it's me and Nick, it's just my brother-in-law. When we go and we sit down, it's like me and him are trying to like low-key fist fight on who gets to sit facing the door. Like we're strategically picking out our tables for that. Yeah. And And so even little things like that you just do for so long, they're small things, but I don't want to be blindsided.
Well, yeah, and you know, you said it right there, is like what you're doing is, so there's a great book called Left of Bang. It's a book. So the Marines created this, I think they called it the Combat Hunter Program. I could be wrong on that. It's been a while since I read the book, but essentially bang is whenever something happens, the incident goes down, the truck drives through the crowd. The whole premise is trying to get you left of what happens before. If you're looking on a linear timeline, anything right of bang is the after effects, the cleanup, you know, the emergency services, et cetera. And so like, how do we get left of bang on a lot of these things? And you taking that approach, the door, you know, that's one thing that you're going left of bang. Okay. Already you're thinking, if a person walks in here with a gun or a weapon, or someone comes in here and they're screaming at, you know, whoever, they're not happy about something, what am I going to do? The position, the posture that I'm looking at. But before you walked in that door, most people who are aware, like, okay, where's an exit? Mm-hmm. And, you know, to be quite frank, it's other, you know, I take the approach of like, who would I have to kill first to get out of here?
Yeah.
Like, you know, and I say that kind of tongue in cheek, but at the same time,
like
like
a thought.
You're always sizing people up, and not in a way of like, oh, it's me against everyone else. Me, like, this isn't a tough guy act. This is just what goes through, you know, my brain from the things that I've seen of like you're really kind of like thinking about it from a threat perspective. And there's a model called the Swiss cheese model. The Swiss cheese model is like, if I'm planning for something, you know, I plan it and then I might send you the plan. And I want you to find the holes, kind of the holes like are in Swiss cheese. And then you show me what those holes are. And then I go back and I refine the plan. And then, you know, maybe I say, hey, I just refined what you gave me. Let's do a dry run. Yeah. Well, we planned it at this table. We planned it on paper. And now we do a dry run. And both of us were like, ooh, we didn't really think about this door being here. We didn't think about what if a person came here. Okay, so let's refine a little bit more. Okay, now let's bring someone else in. Don't give them any context. And so like you're constantly getting better and better and better until the event happens. And we use that in planning for like military exercises or different drills that we do, because you're trying to take out any of the unknowns. That's really like what it comes down to, is like, what are the unknowns? Unknowns can be, you know, simple as, you know, hey, I left this bottle right here and I knocked it over. We shouldn't put the bottle there. Or it could be, like you said, I'm sitting there and all of a sudden someone walks through the door and there's a gun. Like, what do I do? But can we eliminate everything that will be known, so that we only know there should only be a few things that could go wrong? Yeah. So that's another model that, like, in your head you're going through, but you're not really thinking about it. So, but it's a pretty cool thing in practice. And, you know, you could do that if you're planning on going out. Hey, okay, what do we know? Hey, we're going to go out. We want to go to this location, that location. Okay, well, how are we getting from A to B? How are we getting from B to C? Is there a timeline? Is the group staying together? Is the group not staying together? And, you know, that's one thing in New Orleans that you'll see. So typically we would work 12-hour shifts on Bourbon Street. And during Mardi Gras, just flocks of people. There's people at shoulder to shoulder. People are everywhere. Well, as the night goes on, the crowds start to dissipate. People are, you know, it's 2 a.m. I'm going away. Well, about 3:30 to 4:30, you still see, I mean, there's still people out, and you're almost seeing people that you've seen before. And you're like, hold on, I've seen that person before. Like, what are they doing? Yeah. And so like you're picking up anomalies, and that's part of that kind of left of bang. Like, what are anomalies in our environments? So, like, if I've seen a person 2 or 3 times, maybe this is someone who works in one of these bars. Maybe it's someone who works in a restaurant, going back to New Orleans incident. Or maybe this person is targeting someone for some reason. You know, maybe they've been following someone all night. Maybe they're planning something in that scenario. And so, like, the faster that we can identify anomalies, the faster we can determine, is this a threatening situation? And of course, the best thing is just to remove yourself from the situation. Right. Like in a jiu-jitsu, we talk about this. The best thing that you can do is just walk away or run away. Yeah. The last thing that I want to do is get into a physical altercation with somebody. That should be like the last case scenario. The last thing that I want to do is have to pull out a weapon at any time. That should be a last case scenario.
Yep.
But we should also be prepared for if and when that scenario actually happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the big thing too, is like, how many people do you know that carry, like, I just told my buddy the other day, we're talking about this podcast, and I was just reaching out to a few people. I'm like, hey, what are some things that you want to hear, like, us talk about, or what some questions that you may want answered or whatever. But I told him, I was like, dude, I carry all the time.
Yeah.
Like this right here. Here's my holster, 43X, TLR7 sub, got a dot on it. And I absolutely love that thing, and carry it and shoot it really good. But how many people go and buy a 365 or a 43X or a 19 or what? It don't matter. They buy a revolver. I don't care what, get Old Western, whatever you want to.
Hey.
Get what you want. But they get it and they stock up on all this stuff.
That's right.
And they don't train.
That's right.
Like, you've got to go and put, like, you're better off having 119 with a light and a dot on it and a decent bit of ammo to go and shoot practice. You're a whole lot better off with that and knowing how to use it and being comfortable and efficient with it than you are 5 or 10 different pistols.
Yeah. And that's really the approach that I take, and everything that I have here, I've carried at some point, or I carry now. I'm kind of like you, I carry the 43X now. I was carrying a 19. I got the EPS. It's just enclosed. I changed out the mag to a shield arms mag, get 15 round
rounds,
capacity.
Yep.
Sorry for all the SIG lovers. I'm not a SIG guy, Glock guy through and through. And, but even more than shooting, how much do you actually dry fire with it?
Yeah.
Because that's a bigger question that everyone's, you go out to the range with guys and they're like, man, like, I'm shooting low left, or I'm pulling this, or I'm doing, and it's like, how much you actually handle this thing day to day? Like 5 minutes a day? If you just took, for example, a person who you brought them out to the range, and let's just say they're your average person, like you're talking about. I got 6 guns, I'm ready to use it whenever I can. It stays in my truck. That's what most people do. They think it's in my console, so it's super safe.
Yeah.
And if anyone ever walked up, I'd be ready to go.
Grab it out of there. And
well, most of those people probably don't even keep around the chamber, to be quite honest, because that's dangerous.
Super dangerous.
Don't be careful. I mean, you need to be careful with that.
No, you need to have a safety, and do not carry one in the chamber.
That's right. Make sure that you have a Beretta in that case. I mean, staccato too. I mean, there's a lot of them, but but my point is that if you took someone like that and you said, hey man, I want you to dry fire for 5 minutes a day for a month. All I want you to do is whatever you carry. If you have Penix carry, 3 o'clock, I wear a fanny pack a lot of times. So, people see my fanny. My wife's pretty embarrassed by the fanny pack, but
mine too.
I love it though. I mean, it's super easy, but just doing that, just slow draws from your holster, making sure that you can get a good purchase on your gun, making sure that when you bring it up, hey, my hands are in the right position, making sure that whenever I bring the gun level and out, like, it's pointing towards where I want it to point. And in that case, I can start, using it if I need to. Yeah. But most guys just think, it kind of, it's like practice makes permanent. That's what I always say a lot. It's like, what you're doing creates permanent habits and how you're doing things. Everyone says practice makes perfect, but the reality is nothing ever goes perfect. It's all great until you get punched in the mouth. Yeah. So, just those little habits, like we're talking about carrying, sometimes it's standing in your room with a fanny pack and literally, cause I know I need to open this fanny pack and then I have to get the gun out. Well, what does that feel like? What if I'm wearing a pullover? What if I'm wearing a jacket? Is it just with a t-shirt? Like, there's just so many things to think about. And I think too many people think when it happens, I'll be ready. Yeah. It's like, you haven't even prepared for it. It's just like, in the jiu-jitsu community, in the jiu-jitsu community, we would say it's the guy who says, man, I work out, I just see red, I start going. Good luck with that strategy, man. That's like,
look, dude, I'm not a big fella, and I'm a 1-stripe white belt. I have not rolled in like a year. Okay. So it's been a hot minute, but there for a while I was going multiple times a week, and probably not as much as you should, but I was like, all right, I'm going to figure out, like, even if I just do nothing but an elbow escape, I'm going to figure out how to get my back off the ground. Like, I'm going to do something. even as a one stripe white belt, you'd be amazed at how many guys, and this is not a puff for me or anything, but you'd be amazed at how many 15-year-old girls that were still a white belt, but just had the technique down, that grown men, even long, and I'm not just making this up as an example, I've seen it with my own two eyes, like multiple times. Law enforcement comes in, they have free, and y'all think y'all do too at y'all's gym, but free law enforcement training, like one day a week or sometimes a month maybe or something like that. But whatever it is, you have law enforcement guys that have never trained before, and they work out. Like, they look like Guy Smith, who's bad to the bone. Like, Guy would hurt somebody, and I love rolling with that dude. Like, he's great jiu-jitsu, but they come in, look like the Hulk, and they get wrapped up like a pretzel, like a young teenager.
Yeah.
And so, seeing red, drinking a Monster Energy, seeing red, ready to go punch somebody, that's not going to work out for you nowhere near like you think it is. It's not Kimbo Slice kind of stuff. So you got to be prepared.
Well, and I guess that's one of the biggest things for me is that's why I keep training jiu-jitsu. Been training over 6 years. What has kept me in it is what I don't know. Because whenever you, like you're saying, whenever you understand that people's capabilities are so much greater than yours, a lot of people don't like that because there's a feeling of inadequacy. Mm-hmm. But in reality, that's what should keep driving you to get better. And whether that's like dry firing, how you educate yourself with handling weapons manipulation, whether it's dry firing, shooting at the range, I take that same approach to jiu-jitsu. I see guys who are better than me. They're better than me because they've been practicing much longer and they have consistency, and building those consistent practices become habits. And so then it's not like, I just show up whenever I can. It's like, no, I show up because it's who I am now. Yeah. And so, like with a jiu-jitsu concept, a lot of people obviously quit before they're a blue belt and quit really before they have a couple stripes on their white belt because they feel super inadequate. Yeah. They feel awkward. They feel uncomfortable. And, it's kind of like what Jocko says, good. You should feel that way. And like at the end of the day, everyone in the training room, like, is only there to make you better. Mm-hmm. I think that like, there's just such a very low percentage of guys who think they need to prove themselves in the room, because whenever you line up in that line, there's no discussion. Whenever you're bowing in or bowing out, like, where the chips would fall. At the end of the day, like, it is what it is. And I think that's where like really that humility starts to come in and really starts to affect you. And that's why like, I always say like jiu-jitsu is a very cathartic experience. It's this physical entanglement with a lot of mental and spiritual elements to it. And that's because, you're going through these hard endeavors. And like, whenever I say endeavors, most people think like, oh, it's going to be like, it's a marathon or it's these kind of big events. But like, in some ways it is. For a white belt, like just getting another stripe or just sort of having another round, like that's a mountain to climb. But then you got to close your eyes, wake up and do it all over again tomorrow. Yeah. And seemingly you're like, I'm not getting better. But in reality, like the rising tide lifts all ships. Yep. And so like having that attitude, I think that starts that kind of prepared mindset is like, what I'm doing is not trying to beat Nolan. I'm not trying to beat Blake. I'm not trying to beat these people. I'm trying to be able to beat myself yesterday. I'm trying to be prepared for those unknown situations like that we talked about. So if it arises, I have the capacity to overcome whatever that resistance is. Yeah. And that's one of those mental states that's hard to get in. Like, I'm clearly not there in jiu-jitsu, but even in other ways, like, but like, that's one of the things that it's hard to get and like, and have that mental capacity or that mental, be in that mental state. Once you get there, it's addicting. It don't matter what it is, whether it's working, just waking up and grinding it out, just being the best version of yourself as you can. Once you get a little bit of taste of that and you start seeing some success, no matter if it's work or jiu-jitsu or shooting or bow hunting or doing a podcast, it don't matter. It's addicting, and you want to keep going for that. Well, I mean, and more so than that, like I totally agree, but we always, like a lot of people, you said kind of grinding or the process. I also like to think in terms of like, who are you becoming along that process? Yeah. And like, because the goal for whatever we're focusing on is to get better at it. But if it's just to get better, just to show like, oh, I can do all these moves, I can shoot a gun like this, like, what are you really helping?
It doesn't carry much weight.
Exactly. Yeah. But if I'm in that process of I'm getting better, you know, but along the way, I'm going to help other people who are also trying to get better. And what I mean in jiu-jitsu, like you have guys who are better than you that want to train with you because you also bring them up. You know, you push them. You know, you had Blake on just recently. Love training with him. He smashes me whenever we're on the mats.
How about the Hulk? That is him.
Oh man,
that's a bad son of a gun.
He is. Yeah, he's hard to deal with in every single way. That he's a savant though. You know, in a lot of things, like he can fish, he can hunt. He just built this deer stand that I'm just like in awe of. Like, dude, everything you put your hand to is just like it's amazing.
Yeah.
But you know, speaking to that, like that's that consistency, and so like. I think you always have to go back to like, who am I becoming? Because it's not the big mountaintops that we should be chasing after. You know, like setting goals and achieving those goals. The goal wouldn't be what it is without who we became in the process, and that's only because we started building discipline, consistency, all these things that you know you hear on big like. Self-help books, if you will, and things like that, but they only come up because they're true. And so like, I always think about it like that is like what I'm doing. Sure. It's for me. Like you want to think, hey, I'm accomplishing something. I'm getting better at something. I have something to add. And then how do I bring those up around me?
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just through and through with jiu-jitsu. Yeah. But with jiu-jitsu, it really cultivates that prepared mindset. Because then whenever you really realize it's not necessarily about me trying to beat other people, it's about me trying to beat me. Then I've seen myself, and I guess I'm speaking for myself, like then I see me trying to I start taking leaps in that. Like in jiu-jitsu, there's like times when you're like, man, I'm not learning at all. Like I'm just stuck here. Like, man, this is so hard. Like you're just the nail, right? And everyone else is the hammer. It doesn't matter if it's a white belt. You're like, man, I'm getting just like, what's going on? Why? But then all of a sudden, because of that consistency and the discipline and the right attitude and the right mindset to continue to show up and actually care, then you get over that and you're like, everything just starts seemingly falling into place. And it's just this kind of constant thing that's like up and down, and then you're on a plateau up and down. And so like, once again, what has kept me is not the highs and not the lows. It's my capabilities and like what I'm learning along the process, but also the humility to know like there's people out there who are untrained that like would be a very hard time if I had to fight them.
Yeah.
And just really internalizing that to say, I'm getting a lot for myself. I'm getting a lot for other people, but also for that one instance, the what ifs.
Yeah.
But that turns a lot of people off because a lot of people don't want to put in the time. They don't want to put in the work.
Well, so like on just civilians, me, not law enforcement at all, like training. I like to think that I shoot a decent bit and I do way more dry firing than I do anything else, like way more, but it's still probably not as much as I need to be.
Me too.
And the prices have come down. So like you can go and you can buy some of the stuff. Like I don't even know if the price tag's still on here. I don't even remember what I paid for it, but dude, we sell the fire out of ammo, like particularly 9mm ammo. Mm-hmm. We sell so much 9mm and 22 ammo through like Spotted Dog online, like the website. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous. But what are some things like training wise? You don't need to go like we got 400 or 500 rounds right there. Just say, I don't know, they're $10 a buy. I don't know. I don't remember how much they are, but regardless, you don't want to just go buy 500 rounds and go to the range and just blow through them. It's like, what are some things that like listeners, people can go and actually implement? Like there's tons of videos out there to be able to go through all that. Like what are some things that you do that you recommend that is just easy and it's not crazy expensive? You can go to SpottedDogSportingGoods.com. You could buy some ammo, run down to the store, wherever, get it shipped to you, go pick it up and go to the range and shoot. What's some stuff you can do?
Yeah. So, we've talked about dry fire. That's the first thing. It's free. I've bought targets. Ben Stoger has a great book called Dry Fire Reloaded. It's an older in the sense of just years, but it's so relevant in so many ways. It helps diagnose a lot of shooting habits. And it comes with some targets and things like that. So like, that's a book that I could recommend. And just sitting there and just whatever you carry day to day, however you carry it, get it out of the holster, pull it up to the light switch, make sure that your sights are aligned or your red dot's on there, have a good trigger pull. And then like, I would start right there. After that, I would start working on my reloads. Okay. So, same thing. I mean, I normally just carry another magazine in my pocket. There's other little devices that keep them higher. I see that you have the, it looks like an ACOG, but whatever it is, whatever brand it is, you got the extra, what do they call those? The side,
little wing.
The wing is a wing.
I don't remember what they call it.
Anyway, yeah. Like, so then okay, let's just work a reload, right? We're going back through the practice. We're doing that. Do y'all carry dry fire mags in the store? I think that the mag is actually called, I think it is the dry fire mag.
The dry fire mag. I don't know.
I could be wrong on that name. I should have brought it. Essentially it fits in, I think that they make them for all calibers and for all weapons. I have it, for the Glock 17. It also fits in my Glock 19. You put it in the gun, and essentially you can just pull the trigger multiple times and it resets the trigger for you. So that whenever the pin's going forward, it's not getting stuck.
Right.
So so that's another thing. Okay, I've been dry firing. How do I take this dry fire to the next level? Okay, well now I can actually pull the trigger multiple times. The trigger feels a little bit different. It's a little bit, it's squishier, I guess you'd say.
Yeah. But
it actually allows me to go through the reps of my fingers actually click, 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 just pulling. So that's another thing that I incorporate if I'm not just doing standard dry firing. So those are the things, kind of the at-home things. And you can build so many things into that. Like I do things where I'm just standing still. I'm not rushing. Okay. Then after that, maybe I'm going to draw, fire once, do a reload. But while I'm doing that reload, I'm just slowly backing up.
Yeah.
I'm just changing a little bit of what's going on in my environment or what I'm doing. Maybe I'm going to reload. I'm going to take a knee while I'm reloading. Like just little things like that it's more situational driven, but it just puts a little bit more stress. We talk about stress shooting. It just puts a little bit more. And if you really want to get stressful, just grab you a timer. And you see them in a lot of the gun videos, the beep goes off and then people start, fudging up stuff. Blah, blah, they're like that timer is something really like that will change your life in that. And, I'll work on that sometimes where the timer goes off. That means I'm going to draw. And then, I might set it up to whatever, 2 second, 3 second. You can do it as slow as you want to. Right. Like make sure you have a good grip, make sure you had a good presentation, good sight alignment, et cetera. And then you want to pull the trigger before it goes off. And then you start working your way down to where, okay, I'm doing all these things really well. I'm performing well under this stress or this pressure. Let me turn the heat up a little bit for me. Then it's like, okay, well, can you move laterally? Can you, in that book, Dry Fire Reloaded, they have some of those drills with timers, kind of information on that can help. Then going out to the range, like you said, you can have as much ammo as you want to, but just going out and just shooting as much as you can, like that really isn't a great strategy either. So like whenever I go out to the range, I always like to have like 2 to 4 drills that I'm going to do whenever I go out there. So I'm planned. And I mean, dude, you could take 100 rounds out there and you could have, be out there for 45 minutes. They could be low round count drills that you do, but like once again, I'll plug Dry Fire Reloaded again. Some of those drills, you could use those. You could do one shot. I'm going to conduct a reload and then do another shot like that. So I went from doing that inside my house. Now I'm doing that actually with live ammunition. And you can, like what I typically do if I'm going to do that drill specifically is my first magazine only has 1 round in it. So it'll go to slide lock. Beep goes off or, the signal goes off and I'm going to draw, good shot. I have a full magazine though, because I want to know what it's going to feel like to insert a full magazine into my gun. I think that little things like that, instead of just having another magazine with 1 round in it, I think that can go pretty far just in the feel, because typically when you're home dry firing, you're dry firing with empty magazines. the weight of those magazines, just that little bit, those few ounces can change. It can change how you're sliding it into the gun. And so like, that's what I would say is like, whenever you go out there, just have that plan. So if I'm going to go out to the range, I know that I want to do this drill, I want to do this next drill, and then, whatever you plan on doing. So like, practically that's my biggest suggestion that for like what you can do to get better in that skill set whenever you're going from house to the range.
Yeah. Everybody talks about like go bags and stuff like that. And you have anything like that ready to roll, like bug out bags, go bag, anything like that?
So man, I don't have like a big go bag or anything like that. I will say I have a plate carrier that's set up with magazines and for both rifle and pistol. And then, I have a backpack, but it's not like I got half a day's worth of food and water in here or anything like that. I have a couple extra magazines in it. I have a extra tourniquet in it, which I carry a tourniquet. Like if I'm carrying a fanny pack, I have a tourniquet in that at all times.
Yeah.
I'm, like whether this is bad or good, I don't keep one on me. Like I don't have one in my jeans right now.
Yeah.
I have one in every single one of my cars. My wife. So like I have trauma kits, like North American Rescue makes one. It comes with like chest seals, tourniquet, scissors, gauze, stuff like that. So I'll have that in that bag at home. And, cause like, I'm just thinking like, what would I like, I guess, and I'm not against like preparedness, but I'm like, what would cause me to grab that bag and think I need to survive with this bag? Yeah. And this is where like just watching the news, like I want to be informed, but not consumed.
Yeah.
And so like, man, I kind of struggle with that line of like, am I informed enough, but is that leading to like me being consumed with what I have?
Yeah.
So like, yes, I have a bag, but it's not like hey, I could pack up and go for a day or whatever.
Yeah.
But I know that like I could survive another hour or 2 hours, like I keep some extra cash in my car.
Yeah.
Like I said, like in this, I'm going to have keys. I'm going to have a gun, extra magazine, tourniquet. I'm going to have a knife. If it's not in here, it's on me. And then I'm going to have the ability to go somewhere else, So like, it's with my car. I know that's where it's going to go with me. But man, yeah, I don't have something where I'm going to like throw it on. We're going camping for 3 days.
We're going in the woods. Yeah.
But yeah, like, hey, I'd throw on that plate carrier and whatever else I might need as quickly as I can and then go. So yeah, I'm not the great person to ask about like being, prepared for the world ending.
Well, like, yeah, the zombies, they're not coming, but
yeah,
it's almost as good of a chance as zombies coming as it is to really be able to go and need the bug out bag where you hit the mountains and you just disappear.
Well, in Louisiana, there are no mountains.
Well,
but
what is it? Sicily Island? Is that down there? It's like the
like
biggest,
300 feet or
something? Yeah, it's
something?
like the biggest hill, 297. I don't know what it is. I need to look it up, but no, it's a little bit of a hill down there, but, yeah, we're not, I say we won't need. I don't think in the US, it could change. It could be way wrong. Like we're talking about being prepared, but most of what I'm talking about is you're in a restaurant or you're out with your family, making sure that you can get out of that situation. Because most of the stuff we hear about, not saying this, if something was to happen to somebody, not saying it would be this for sure, but I guess statistically, most of it's going to be one shooter, like one guy coming in with a gun or a vehicle running through, whatever it is. Like I know it just happened, but most of the time it's probably just gonna be one person with a gun. At least that's what I hear anyways. Like that's typically the stories. Getting out of that situation with your family and knowing what to do and having a plan, that's probably the most helpful thing of being prepared. So like the bug out bags with the machete and the gas mask and all the, the jet boils, freeze-dried food, all that. Not saying that you don't need it, but it's not near as applicable and realistic as knowing how to use one gun, having some ammo, and being confident with that, or your rifle or whatever, being confident and proficient with that.
Yeah. And, I think about it too. Like, we have a lot of friends in common, and I always think that like, if the world came to that place, like it would be more like this community coming together and almost like some militia type being formed, you know, and this is just kind of going down that rabbit hole of that. I guess that's why I don't worry about it too much. Because it's hard to see a scenario where I need X amount of food and water, you know, there's concerns about power grid and stuff like that. Like, I guess that's where I dive into the community aspect of like having friends, being reliable. You know, if you have land, you can hunt, you can survive off it, things like that, where the long-term sustainability would unfold itself within that community.
Yeah.
Not just, hey, me out here on my own. I'm good.
I think that's not saying, again, I don't know what the future holds, but it's very hard for me to believe that's never happened here. It's hard for me to believe that would happen now, despite what you hear about the news or different people talking about. But, man, there's so many people that just need a Ruger 1022 with a scope with a few hundred rounds of ammo, and you need to know how to squirrel hunt.
That's right.
And you need to know, like, what is hog sign? Like, go and find some hog rooting out in the woods or something. Like, just as simple. The power's on, you have water, you have everything. But, dude, we've seen everything from toilet paper shortages to the food being recalled. Like, you know, the stuff sounds crazy, but there's been multiple times, even here in Monroe within the last few years, that Walmart, Brookshire's, they don't have meat. Now, again, they got Pop-Tarts, so it's not like you're going to die. Like, everybody has deer meat in the freezer for the most part, but even if it's just picking up a 22, putting a scope on it, and if you have a 22, you have to put a suppressor on it. You have to.
Oh, with subsonic ammo.
Dude, even just supers, just like regular ammo, dude, it's almost like a movie. But yeah, I shoot subsonics and out of my little Bolt 22. Oh, that's literally it. And dude, shooting squirrels with that thing is wicked. It's awesome. But just having a 22, if you don't hunt, if you don't really even care to hunt, what happens if you go to Walmart and there's no toilet paper and there's no food for that day or that meat or whatever it is. Like, I know, again, this is all like stretching out, like way out there kind of thinking.
Sure.
But it's just good practices and good, I don't know, good skills to know, like, hey, I don't care what happens. I lost my job. I ain't got money to go buy ribeyes tonight, but I got a dang 22. I'm going to go out in the woods and find some squirrels or whatever. Like, I think it's good for that. But dude, speaking on suppressors, I'm going to kind of change what we're talking about really quick because I've got to talk about this. I keep looking at them. I know Nick said you're looking to get us a suppressor.
Yep.
I want you to tell me the gun that you're wanting to build. So I want you to kind of tell me what you and Patrick have been talking about. And this is going to be like your longer range, like deer rifle, elk rifle, that kind of stuff. But so are you familiar with trusts or individual applications for suppressors or anything like that?
Very loosely, yes.
Okay. So when you want to go and you want to buy, this is a hybrid 46. So if you want, it's a silencer can. If you want to go and buy this or that Velos or Omega, whatever it is, you go buy a suppressor. Typically, up until a year or so ago, whether it's individual or a trust or whatever it is, you got to go and you got to apply. It's got to go off, and ATF's going to take. I mean, it could be like mine. I had one that a little over a year ago. It took 13 months for me to get it back. It was a couple years ago, but it was a little over a year ago when I got it. But 13 months to get it. Nick, 2 or 3 cans ago that he got, took 16 months to get. And so last year, it's crazy to say last year, 2024, but 2024, I think it was 2024, they implemented the e-forms. So you could go and they did everything electronically instead of going through paper. And it was supposed to shorten up the process. I don't remember which can, maybe that Velos on that BCM. I got it back in 91 days. So 3 months versus 13 or 16 or a year or whatever it was. And so it took 3 months for that. I'm like, dude, we're living high on the hog, man. Like, that's fast. Like, everybody's going to be going and buying cans at that point. Well, then they went and the wait times got longer. Then they got back down within the last probably 3 or 4 or 5 months where they're back short again. Whereas individuals, they were still running an individual application like a Form 4. They were still running that, and it was going through like wicked fast, like week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. But most every one of them was less than a month for the most part. But putting it on a trust, which is what I have, and I recommend that. Talk to Joseph and Jake down at Spotted Dog. They'll point you in the right direction to whatever you need. They'll help you out with it. But for me, I have a trust, and it wasn't going through as fast. It was still taking 3 or 4 months, or even like the last one, like right at 6 months is what the last one I got. Well, the ATF, as of like last week, they put a thing out saying they were recognizing traditional like paper trust. They were doing that through the e-forms the same way that they were doing the individuals. And so my brother-in-law, 4 days.
Wow.
Went, paid for the can, did everything, went like the little kiosk down at Spotted Dog, just did all the stuff.
Can you do the trust of that kiosk?
Well, you got to get a lawyer to do the trust.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
They have a single shot trust.
That's right.
Like you go through, I say not Hornady. I'm thinking of like reloading, whatever they call that. But anyhow, the single shot trust is through a silencer shop. And so you can go through them. They have the kiosk down there at Spotted Dog. And in like 10 or 15 minutes, you have all your stuff set up and you're done. And based off of what the turnaround time was for him, 4 days. So you could go in on a Monday, like today's Thursday. Just pretend today was Monday. We could go down there today, and it's a chance by Friday for the weekend, you'd have your can. That's wild.
That's
wild. That's insane how freaking fast that is. And there's so many different cans out there. I love Silencer Co. I think that they're the best, just me personally, but there's still like Dead Air. There's a few other brands that are been around a while. There's Silencer Co. They've just been around forever. Mm-hmm. And like that Omega 300 that's on that 6.5 PRC, like you can run whatever center fire you want to up to 30 caliber. Yep. So it don't matter if you want to run it on your AR or you go and you get shepherded a 243 or like a 300 blackout, shooting subs or whatever you want. You can run. It's so versatile.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to end up going with after talking with Nick and Patrick about it.
The Omega.
Yeah, it's just like you can just, like you said, you can put on anything that you have. So like I'm going to end up going with the Bergara Terrain for the rifle, but then I have a B14 as well. And an AR, it's just interchangeable. It just makes it so easy. So it makes sense. It makes it super easy to do that.
Yeah. But those cans. And then like I said, the first couple cans I got, this one was dirty. Yeah. So it was this one, the Hybrid 46. And I was like, man, because I was like, before I got the Omega, I was like, I really and truly want to do it all I can. Like, I don't have a 4570 or like a 458 SOCOM, something like big and crazy. Yeah. I don't have that, but I want to be able to put my suppressor on it if I do. And this thing's rated, it's like I said, it's a 46 or a Hybrid 46. And so I was like, I want to put up to a 46 caliber bullet through that if I want, but I can still put it on a 6.5 Creedmoor or PRC or my AR or whatever, 30-30, it don't matter, put it on at all. But those were the first two that I got of like center fire. I got the Hybrid 46, and that's what that is too, is another Hybrid 46. And then I got the Omega. And dude, that Omega is so sweet.
That's what Patrick was saying to me. I was like,
oh yeah, him and Dustin, man, like they're huge proponents of the Omega. They're like, dude, if you're going to get it, if there's only one can to get, that's it. It's bad to the bone. So what rifle are you building? I know you said the Terrain, but
yeah, we're gonna go with the Terrain. Like we were talking about before, one of my roommates and one of my good friends, he's from Wyoming, and we've been talking about getting together and trying to get a hunt and really trying to make something yearly or bi-yearly. And so just trying to get something where, hey, like I want to be able to reach out and shoot much longer distances than typically what you're going to shoot here in Louisiana. So we're going to go with the Terrain. And that's one, that was a conversation that Patrick and I had, is like, do you spend more money? Do you want something lighter? Do you want this? And really his suggestion was like, man, like what's coming out of the factory are really solid now. He had good things to say about Bergara as well. And I've already had one, it's been great for me so far, but he's like, man, I'd try to spend that money on glass. Like, you can go carbon fiber and you can do X and Y. He's like, but at some point it really comes down to the shooter. Mm-hmm. And he's like, and really, what are you getting out of the gun versus who is behind the gun? And so that's kind of really where I landed with that. And then I'm going to go with the Vortex, the Razor LHT, and it's like 4.5 to 22 by 50. So
it's a good, like, middle of the road. Like that's a 5 to 25 to 50 at PST Gen 2. And there are situations that I'm like, man, I really would, even just going down to a 4, like a minimum 4 power instead of 5. Like, it don't sound like a lot, but hunting around here at the house, dude, I took Vaughn the other day Did I tell you this? I took him hunting. So I took Vaughn hunting the other day, and it was 2 days ago. It was Tuesday afternoon, and first time I've ever taken him hunting. Like he just turned 3, and so like. You know, we say buck deer. I'm like, hey, Vaughn, what's a buck deer say? And he'll say, meh. And so, like, it's just cute, fun stuff. And he'll want to go hunting, but it's not, he don't know.
He doesn't know,
Yeah, he don't know. Well, I was like, dude, I'm going to go. I have one of those, like, Yeti Go boxes. I put, like, camera gear and stuff in. So it's just like that one down there, but it's like half that size. It's like that's a 60, and this is like a 30. So it's perfect to put on the back of the golf cart or, like, my bike trailer riding in, put camera gear and keep everything, like, dry. Dude, I almost didn't have room for my camera gear and stuff because of all the toys and snacks and like the little battery bank to make sure my phone didn't die. Whether we watch movies on the phone the whole time or eat so much like junk food and snacks or whatever it is, like we had it all. I had some tea in there for him, some apple juice, some water, like we had everything. And we went out there and have a good time. My point is the 5 to 25. I took that gun out there, and I didn't know. I was like, man, there may be deer coming out like at the end of the food plot, a good ways away, like further than I'd want to shoot my 30-30. And so I took that 6.5 PRC again, 5 to 25 to 50, and anyhow, it got kind of cold. We were getting ready to leave. Like it wasn't even dark yet. Like it wasn't even prime time yet. Yeah. And we just watched a buck like walk this trail like 15 yards. So he was standing up, like looking at it, and he like ended up coughing, and the buck's like still sitting there like looking at us, and it was really cool. And I was like, we came to shoot a doe, and like we're on a buddy's property, and dude, we were packing up. He told me, he started crying a little bit. He's like, Daddy, Vaughn's freezing. I was like, we're leaving right now. Like I ain't doing to you what all the grown-ups did to me. We're staying till dark. We're walking out with no flashlight. Like we ain't doing that. We'll leave if you're ready. And so I started to pack some stuff up and grabbed the gun, or I looked, and like 15 yards, there's that doe sitting there just like eyeballing us, like looking. I'm like, Vaughn, look out the window. I said, there's a deer. And so, of course, he's like, where? And so he's standing up, and like we're in a box blind with the windows up. And so he looks at it, and he gets to see it. And I'm like, all right, man, I had this, again, the suppressor. And I was like, I hung it out the window a pretty good bit. I opened the window, hung it out. I was like, all right, buddy, hold your ears. And so he went and he did like this, and he was watching her. And dude, I'm telling you, she was 15 yards. Dude, 143 grain EODX out of that 6.5 PRC.
That's right.
Her face covered up all the reticle. Like there's no way I could miss. And dude, it laid her down. Yeah. It was awesome.
She just rolled over, I'm sure.
It was done for. But again, the point of me even saying all that, other than bragging on taking my little boy hunting for the first time, is that 5 to 25 is great for a lot of things. Hunting here around the house, especially if you're trying to shoot stuff kind of close, and that's first focal plane. So that reticle was like microscopic at 5 power, like it's so small. I don't know. I would like to have like a 3 or 4 power for hunting around here. So I think you're doing good getting the 4.
Yeah. And the one that I have on right now, I just have a 4-16 on my other rifle right now, and it's perfect for around here.
Yeah. So what made you go with the 6.5 PRC?
Patrick.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were talking about it, and my other one's 308, chamber 308. And I said, hey, like, obviously I want to be able to bring down any big game animal in North America. And we kind of started going through, you got to have him and Dustin on. They can talk ballistics all day. Yeah. I'm just a kind of a knuckle dragger whenever it comes to all that. But, we were just talking about the ability and the energy that round produces. And so he was like, and he said, 143 grain ELDX, he's like, yeah, that's it right there. Yeah. Is that what you have stacked the Hornady, Precision Hunters right there?
Yep. Yeah. When it was hard to get several years ago, Spotted Dog, they got several cases of a lot of different ammo in. And me and my father-in-law, he's got a 6.5 PRC that Brian Allen actually built for him. And, it's a tack shooter too. It's bad to the bone. Yeah,
anything that he touches.
Is wicked.
I don't have a gun that he touches, but yeah,
they're a little bit pricey. Yeah, they'll do what a lot of their other guns won't, but they're pricey. But yeah, I went, and me and my father-in-law we split a case and got them, and I've shot through way more than what I thought I did. All those boxes are empty. Every one of those are empty. So it's just the casings in there.
How long ago did you buy them?
It's COVID, it's a 2020, so I guess almost 5 years ago, probably 4 years ago when I bought them, when they actually came in, 4 to 5 years, something like that. And I don't rifle hunt a whole lot, but I like to shoot. And when I get on those little spells of going to shoot, it don't matter if it's pistols or AR or rifle or shooting a 22. When I get that little itch, it's like I do it for a while, and like I kind of go in pretty deep with it. I'm like, okay, let's break it all, let's knock the rust off, and let's really grind it out, and let's shoot and have fun, and especially getting a rifle like what you're getting, and with the glass on top and everything, dude, you're gonna be able to stretch out and shoot a long way, like really, really easy. People, that's why I said at the beginning, people would be amazed. Guys that like, man, I hit a pipe blade at 100 yards. You'd be amazed at what you can do behind a good, I ain't talking about expensive, just a good rifle, good caliber, good glass, and just a steady shot. You'd be amazed at what you could do at 500 or 600 yards.
You know, you talking about steady shot. One thing that I have seen, and this is just N of one, this is me, but from dry firing pistols so much has really helped me in the rifle and shooting rifles, more specifically to ARs. And I think that it goes back to like just all the trigger work and just being consistent with it. And like with the rifles, I think it's the same way too. Like growing up, I was a duck hunter. I really wasn't deer hunting that much. And then whenever I moved to Montana, with the Air Force, that's whenever I started, deer hunting. I had a friend who did it. And so, sorry, I just dropped that on the floor. And so I started doing it, but then whenever I went to the state police, got really big into pistols and started doing that. But then I noticed like, man, my rifle's getting better. And so I think that it translates like just simply like good grip, everything that really you're doing. And I know the grip is definitely not the same. You know, you want a very relaxed grip whenever you're behind a rifle, especially long range shooting and things like that. But like just pulling straight to the rear instead of putting pressure one way or another, little things like that. So I think that, you know, pistol translates in a lot of ways, just to shooting in general. And that, you know, that's just really my plug for it, is that like, again, you know, like there's steps, but if I'm just the ordinary everyday guy and I only have one pistol and, you know, I'm being consistent with that pistol, like you're going to see it translate if you put your hands on other things. Even if you're just out the range and you're like, hey man, you know, come shoot this rifle. Like you're going to be much more comfortable and much more proficient just from doing those little things. And that's N of one here. But I would, you know, kind of ask that as a question, as a rhetorical question to, you know, people listening, is like, have y'all noticed that as well? Yeah. It's been interesting for me to see that. I saw that specifically with the rifle whenever we were shooting it a lot with state police. And I thought that was pretty cool to see it actually, like just the comfort level go up and also the accuracy level.
Yeah. Well, you got to practice with the stuff, whether it's pistols, rifles, or even like shooting your bow. Like there's things that even if it's just mentally I'm thinking about, like when I go and I draw back, like I'm using my hand and I'm pulling back to activate that thumb button. Even if you shoot an index style release, it don't matter. Like there's things that I pick up that when I'm shooting my bow and then I go back to shooting, I haven't noticed it. I'd lie to you if I told you I'd noticed it on a pistol. I haven't even noticed it on an AR, because typically when I shoot an AR, it's going to be relatively quick, like coach running or hogs or whatever else, or just shooting quick because that's what you do with an AR, you know. But like that rifle or any of my other rifles I stretch distance with, I notice I'm like, okay, it's completely different than shooting a bow, but I know that I need to be slow and steady and kind of pull through and not jerking the trigger or whatever. And so whether it's shooting a bow, there's things you could take from that still kind of correlate to some degree with a rifle. You got to be steady, got to be slow, got to be steady, pull straight back.
I'm not a bow hunter, but I mean, that's in everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, dude, I don't even know how long we've been going.
What time is it?
An hour and a half.
Wow.
It goes by pretty quick, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. I mean,
we didn't even talk about the Cybertruck.
Man, that's a weird deal.
That is a weird deal. We ain't got to go into too much with that. Like I said, I told you before, dude, last night, man, things are always worse when it's 2:00 in the morning and you're really tired. But I was laying there and had my AirPod in, and I was just watching different videos and different things going in to this, just kind of helping prepare myself where I don't come and sound, what do you call the guys that like play military? What do you call that?
It's going to come to me in a second.
I asked Nick the other day and he told me LARPing.
That's right.
Yes, LARPing.
Live action role playing. That's right.
I was like, dude, I do not want to go and wear like, I don't want to give any impression that I know more than what I'm talking about.
Right.
Like, full disclaimer, I'm not a pro. I'm not even great when it comes to shooting. I carry and I practice some, but that's why I have you here instead of me. But I was like,
no, I'm not an expert either.
I was like, I do not want to be the laughing stock of the world, making it sound like I know more than what I'm talking about. But I was just trying to be prepared and just trying to go and like listen to different things, seeing what people are talking about. Like, dude, the freaking fires, like not trying to go and get all that, but dude, that's wild stuff. Like, I don't get a ton, like I haven't been getting a ton on social media, and that's where most people see everything. Like I don't watch the news a whole lot, but dude, the fires are wild. Like it's some crazy stuff happening, but I was listening to some Sean Ryan stuff last night, and dude, I'm telling you, it had my brain twisted, bro. Oh, dude.
I don't even know what to think about that. Cause I mean, they went into so much talking about, China with the drones and all that. And then back over to kind of what happened in 2019 and some of those airstrikes. I mean, it was all over the place. And I definitely don't think that it's related to the New Orleans incident. Yeah. But I'm one of these people who I'm like, hey, like, let's let it play out a little bit before, you just start jumping on any bandwagon. But, there's some weird stuff going on with that. One thing that I did want to mention though is, like I might've said it earlier, but I can't remember if I did, but like I think that really like being prepared is about, let's think in the terms of probability and not possibility. Like we were talking about sitting in the restaurant, like the most probable thing that happens is a guy walks in here with a gun. Yeah. Like, is it possible that ninjas come out of the ceiling and start throwing stars and killing people? Possibly, but
very unlikely.
It's very unlikely.
Yeah.
And so like, that's one thing that I would say to people is whatever situation, wherever you're at, like and if you're getting prepared for that, think about the probability or the likelihood of something happening, not the possibility. Cause that's whenever like you're saying like, we kind of get carried away in thinking of like, well, man, if this guy was this, then this would happen, then that happened. And oh yeah. And then it comes back to JFK, like they're all connected, and it just kind of gets you carried away. And that's even in the preparedness, like, man, if Red Dawn starts happening and they start parachuting out of the sky, I need this and that. And so informed, but not consumed. Yeah. So I always think about, is it probable or is it possible? If I'm preparing for something, if I'm going to go out, what's the worst case scenario? If I have to go to a location that for whatever reason, I can't carry a gun, well, can I carry a knife? Okay. Well, so like, how does that change the way that I'm like viewing people on a threat-based situation? Or how does that change, where I look, am I locating the exits? Cause if I don't have one tool, I need to have another tool. Yeah. At the end of the day, like the human is the ultimate tool. But like, how do we make sure that we're using what we have in every scenario? And I think that's by thinking in terms of most likely, the most probable, not what is possible. Cause there's so many possibilities out there.
Yeah. And like the last thing that you want to do is panic buy. Like that's, it can be very irresponsible to panic buy. Toilet paper. Exactly. Like you don't need 1,000 square foot storage locker or storage room.
I wonder if anyone still has some stored up somewhere.
Oh, I'm sure.
They have to.
I'm sure that dude.
Warehouse.
Oh my god.
Warehouse full of it.
Yeah, dude. They bought more. They bought a storage shed and
no doubt.
That's crazy. But like, you don't want to panic buy, like, cause you're going, not saying that all panic buying is bad, because you may be listening to this right now and be like, holy crap, I have a Glock 17 or 19 or whatever pistol, 365. I got whatever gun. But dude, I don't like I have one mag and it's not even full.
Yeah.
Like, or I have a few mags, but it's all FMJs. Like I don't have any hollow points or any self-defense rounds. Like I don't have anything at all. Or like, oh dude, I got a bad to the bone AR, but I have iron sights on it. Why don't you have any hollow sun glass on top? That's what I'm saying? Like, yeah, like you can go and just run your iron sights, but dude, get you a freaking red dot. Like go get you a hollow. I don't even know what this one is. What is that? I guess it's not going to have the model on here. But
plus the magnifier, huh?
Yeah, it's got a little flip over magnifier. What I'll tell you this. It's and everybody, so I do have a magazine of that to help prop it up, but everything's unloaded. That's the only thing with a magazine in it, and it's unloaded.
You know, one thing, you know, talking about not panic buying, one thing that I started doing is every time I walk into Academy, I just buy one box of ammunition. And typically I just pick a gun that I didn't buy for last time.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll buy 2, 3 would probably be the most.
Yeah.
But I've just kind of made it a thing now. Hey, if I walk into Academy, I'm going to spend money on some ammunition.
Yeah.
It's, you know, is it 9mm? Is it 5.56? Is it 308? And I've just kind of made that a habit. So
something.
Yeah. So you know, I think that that's a very practical way to start, you know, not storing up, but I mean, just being prepared for whatever you might need.
Getting more than 1 or 2 magazines worth.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to go to the range and you're like, I got my ammo right here, and you go shoot it all and you have no ammunition.
Yeah.
You know, just like you said, there's a difference between buying this and having home defense rounds. I hope you're not out the range just shooting home defense rounds. They're $1 a piece, you know, or whatever they come out to be whenever these are, you know, I don't know what they're down to, 32 cents a piece, maybe
25, 30 cents, maybe something like that.
So that's something that I started doing. And it's just practical. It's easy. You know, Taylor doesn't get all upset because you buy a case of 9mm training ammunition. It's $500-$600.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it's just an easier way that I've found to go and just, take the box of this. Might cost you $9.99 if you're buying 9mm.
Yeah. So like I said, there can be panic buying that's good, but try to be responsible with it. That's what I'm saying. You don't want to go and be like, oh my gosh, they're going to get rid of extended mags. They're getting rid of 30-round mags for AR. So let me go and let me go spend $200 on P mags. I mean, maybe there could be some laws that are being pushed through that are actually really going through. I know we've talked about, dude, I've even bought P mags because people are like, dude, they're about to outlaw. And I'm like, well, I don't have it 4 or 5 or 6. Let me go buy a few more. But again, just go ahead and start kind of thinking now, even if you don't go and buy the stuff you have. Be like, hey, I have a pistol, but I don't have a light on it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have how many times are you out somewhere where it's dark where you are?
Look, and you know, look, I'll be very honest. This is my daily carry. I don't carry a light on it.
I was surprised you didn't have a light on there.
And so, man, I've had this conversation with a lot of people, and going back to probability, not possibility, more so in the I think the statistic is 70% of law enforcement shootings are in a dark setting, a nighttime setting. I don't know the statistics for civilians, but I've just come to the place where I'm like, I can't find a time that if I pull this thing out, I'm not going to be able to find my red dot, or I'm close enough to someone where it's I'm not using a light anyways.
Yeah.
And I know there's so many people that'll push back for every single reason for that, but I just haven't done it. Or I haven't found the reason to just say, man, I need to add a light to it.
Yeah.
What I will say is this is the gun that I keep right next to my bed. It's a Glock 17 with a TLR1. I keep this because I make my house dark at nighttime, intentionally. And going back to that, what is probable? Probable is it's going to be dark. Someone doesn't know my house. And I know that, for example, if I walked in my laundry room, I really can't see in the laundry room with all the lights off. So if someone came through my house in the laundry room, I might be able to just start spraying in there, but I would rather put a light on it and then start accurately shooting.
Yeah.
And so there are situations where I'm like, yeah, absolutely. But once again, what does the situation call for? Kind of what have you found? I'm not against lights at all.
Right.
You know, part of it is a comfort level too. It's a little bit more comfortable whenever I'm appendix carrying with no light on it. It just cuts down
a little bit smaller,
just a little bit smaller profile, and not even for worrying about printing, because people aren't looking for guns. I'll encourage people that right now, if you don't appendix carry, because you think it prints, people don't look for guns.
Once you carry though.
Oh, you look for guns all the time.
You see so many people.
That's it.
Yeah, that's the first thing.
That's all you look for.
I don't go to look at your hand sticking out to shake your hand. I'm like, oh yeah, he's carrying. Yeah, I see a little dimple right there.
Yeah, what's he carrying?
Yeah, what's he carrying?
Yeah, I don't on that. I'm not against them. I just haven't done it.
Yeah. So if there's somebody listening right now and they don't have anything, they don't have a gun, they don't shoot it good. They have a old something that whatever it is. They're just like, hey, I need a new self-defense pistol, or rifle or shotgun or whatever it is. Like, where's a good place for me to start having in my house, and then getting efficient with it and comfortable enough with it to be able to start carrying it lawfully. So what do you recommend?
So we're talking about guns.
Yeah. I mean, because it'd be easy to jump to, well, I need an AR, or I need a shotgun, a compact, sawed off 12 gauge. Like, no.
Yeah.
I don't know if you do or if you don't, but I have my thoughts on it and I'll share them, but what do you think?
I'll start where I started. I started with a Glock 19, and partly because it fits my hand really well. Also, whenever I was carrying the Glock 19, I kept a 19 mag in it, but then on my person, I kept a 17 mag just because I could carry a little bit more, and the 19 accepts the magazine for it. That's where I started because that's what I liked. And then what I found was, it's a little bit bigger than what I actually like. So if it's the summertime and I'm wearing shorts and I have that on, I'm just wearing a t-shirt, I was a little bit conscious of, man, is this thing like showing out? Is it too big? Mm-hmm. And so, which in reality, it's not. It's never as big or as bulky as you think that it is. It's just what you think, because you're so like, man, this thing's right here. Like, this person just shook my hand. Like, are they looking at it? All those different things. Yeah. So I started there. Now I moved to, and then I considered the Glock 48 and the Glock 43X. The Glock 48 has a longer slide and same magazine capacity and all that. They come with a 10 plus one in the chamber. I changed out to a shield arms, and kind of the reason is just the ability to carry this more discreetly with the same amount of rounds as the 19, unless I have a 17 mag in it. So first and foremost, I would say go talk to friends that that have guns. Go put guns in your hand. Some people don't like the Glock. Some people like to add I don't add back straps to my Glocks. I don't like them. Some people, Nick just sent me over his stuff, how he used to tape his and now he's doing tack grips, I think. I have some tack grips for this. I just haven't put it on. But what is comfortable for you really matters. And there's some people who say, no, you need to use this. You just have to deal with it. I'm really I'm not dogmatic about that. I say go try some, go to Spotted Dog, go put some guns in your hands and start feeling what you like, and just ask questions. Yeah. Ask people why they like what they like. Mm-hmm. And because typically people have reasons for them. It's just like, why don't you have a light, or why do you have a light? But at the end of the day, it needs to be something that you're comfortable with and you're familiar with. And I think that's first and foremost. I've just landed on this because of magazine capacity now and the ability to carry it in multiple situations. And it's, specifically, so this, this fanny pack is an Eberly stock fanny pack. They're always out of them. I got it. Mm-hmm. It's been well over a year since I got this one. And, they come with this, there's just a void here. And what I did was I got the Vertex Tactigami. I won't take it all the way out, but I'll show you. I put that in there simply as another way to stabilize the gun at a good angle for whenever I put my hand in there. Also, it covers the trigger, so it acts as a trigger guard. Not that I wasn't super worried about ever touching it, like the trigger, because I'm not pulling out the gun unless I had to, or unless I'm just putting it into my holster over here. But that's something that I did, and that, I would encourage for whatever gun you have. Yeah. With the 19 in this bag specifically, it was just a little tight. Mm-hmm. And so what I was finding is whenever I would open up the zipper, sometimes with a magazine in this, it would just touch it just enough to make me have to give it a 1-2 really hard. Yeah. So, and once again, that's just from kind of reps of dry fire. And I was like, this gets a little sticky. I really kind of have to jerk it. Well, I mean, side by side, obviously we can see the difference in the guns, the size of them, all that stuff. Like, you have a much lower profile with this gun. So putting it in there also fits much more ergonomically. So it makes it easier to draw and easier to move a zipper over. So that's the reason why I did that. But short answer on your question is put your hands on guns, see what feels good, look at different configurations of sights. Don't get consumed with it though. You know, if you're starting off with stock sights, like that's fine. It's that's right where you should start. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we all ran it forever. Putting a red dot on it is a game changer. But there's also a learning curve with that too, though. Yeah. Like you go and you draw it, and it's like you're having to do like this.
Oh yeah,
at first trying to find the dot.
And you know, I'm still some people will push back on this and just say, yeah, just throw a red dot on it because it's easy. But like, I kind of caution people, like, the dot doesn't just make you a better shooter. Yeah. You know, there's so many fundamentals that you have to go through and you have to get good at before you're actually shooting well with a dot. So, you know, I don't think it's buy a gun and put a dot on it. I don't think that's the answer all the time. I think for some people just starting out, it's like, just put the gun in your hand and understand how your grip is every single time and make sure that you can accurately put rounds on target using stock sights, or if you want to put like Dawson precision sights, you know, something like that. Like, you don't have to go full in. If you want to, that's fine. Like there's nothing wrong with that. But once again, like if you're a white belt using guns, then you're going to have a learning curve. Like you said, because whenever I first trained as a dot, you pull the gun, you're doing the wrist, you know, wiggle, like, oh, where's this thing at? You know? And so, but that's what I would do. I'd put my hands on them, see how they feel, put on someone's holster, you know, see, like,
dude, that's a big thing.
I mean, yeah, like, so mine has a wedge on it. I don't think
a soft wedge.
A soft wedge. Yeah. Like, whenever I was carrying the 19, this is a slim fit holster. I don't have any affiliation with anything that I carry, but that's the brand that I use. I actually took the wedge off on my 19, and how it sat on me, how it felt, the angle of the gun, I didn't like it, but I leave the wedge on for the 43X.
Yeah.
I don't know why, it just fits. There's a little bit different. So like, I'm one who's like, try stuff until you come to this failure point and you're like, okay, I need to make an adjustment.
Yeah.
I don't think that anyone should ever make adjustments, buy guns, anything, because the latest or greatest person said, this is the gun you need to go with, because everyone has their own opinion. Go with what works for you.
Yeah.
And so, you know, like that, this works for me. Appendix carrying works for me. I used to carry like 3 o'clock, I don't know, 7-8 years ago. And then, you know, cause everyone thinking I'm gonna shoot myself right in the nuts. Like this is going to be a bad day. Yeah. So I actually think John Lavelle, Warrior Poet, did a video on that, on like the trajectory of actually be shot, you know, stuff like that. So that would be my suggestion. That's kind of a long answer for it, but you just got to get in there and try it. Yeah.
I think if you're going, if you do have a gun, don't have a gun, if you're wanting to get something you're more comfortable with, do the 43X. I didn't know that's what you had, but I mean, again, that's what I had. That's what so many people have. Like, most people are going, like, instead of going the 19 route, the numbers we're talking about, everything we're talking about is 9mm. I'm not saying that that's absolutely what you got to get, do your own research, but that's what you just go get you a 9mm. It's cheap to shoot. The guns are good, low recoil, everything else. But a lot of people used to get the 19s. That was like the one size fits all. It was small enough.
Yep.
The 19 is almost like the mid size, and then the 17 is a full size, and then the 43X, that's just a little concealed carry, little doodad there. But it's small, shoots great, but I don't know, it shoots really good. And out of all the different small frame pistols, 43X, that's the one I landed on for reliability, but also it shot as good as any other one. It doesn't shoot like a little bitty small pistol. It shoots really good, and carrying 15+1.
It's a game changer.
That is legit. So buy you a 9mm pistol. Don't get a high point.
Please.
Don't do that.
No pawn shops.
If something like a pistol, I'm not saying good guns haven't gone through a pawn shop, but they've probably been stolen, and there's no telling what all they've been drugged through to get there. But yeah, there's some good deals on pistols out there right now. The Smith & Wesson 2.0s. It's another great T-Rex arms. Yep. He's done some videos on them. Great pistols. Is it Garand? Is it Garand? How do you say Garand?
Thumb.
Is it Garand?
I don't know if it's Garand or Grand. You talking about Grand?
Yeah, like
Thumb,
I don't remember how to pronounce the actual rifle. Like, it just slipped me. But anyhow, Grand Thumb on YouTube. He's legit, but he's done a ton of different testing on the Smith & Wessons, the 43Xs, the 365s. I don't know if I've seen like a Hellcat or anything right through there. I'm not sure.
I don't think I've seen that.
I don't know, but those are probably some of the the three top is like a 43X.
Yep.
A SIG P365, and then like those Smith & Wessons there. I don't know if you can go wrong with any of them, but just go and see what your buddies shoot theirs before you buy one if you can, and go that route. But yeah, get a 9mm pistol, something you can work into concealed carrying, get comfortable enough with it, and then start buying ammo. You don't have to have multiple different pistols. I'm not saying it's not a bad idea too, but just go and like you said, every time you run through Spotted Dog, just freaking grab a box of bullets. Like you don't want to go and drive down there 2 or 3 times a day and do it, like put a cheat code on it. Next thing you know, you're broke and your wife is pissed at you. But just start stocking up on it some. But it's never been easier. It's never been easier to get into it and get efficient at whether shooting, training, learning all the different things. Dude, YouTube is. There's so much good information out
on YouTube.
There. Well, and like there's so many guys that have a much bigger platform than what we do, but they're getting guys like you on that actually have training, and you have a law enforcement background that's here to tell us firsthand, like, hey, here's the stuff I see or I saw day to day. Here's the stuff that I've trained. Here are the things that I've done. And I don't know, good information is getting out easier now than ever. Kind of like we said at the beginning, bad information is getting out faster now, than it has before. And you don't want to get scared and feel helpless. You don't want to do that. So pick you up a pistol, start buying you some ammo. Spotted Dog, they ship it. It's $99 and over, which again, that'll save you a decent bit on shipping just because you get it for free shipping. But $99 and over, you get free shipping on ammo. And so go in there, start buying some, and or go down there and check out some pistols. You're about to be going down there and buying a new rifle and buying a suppressor and all that stuff.
Yeah, very, very soon.
Yeah. Nice. Dude, I can't thank you enough for coming on.
No, thanks for having me, man.
So any social media stuff, anything, anybody can check you out? Do you put any content out or anything?
I really don't, man. I really don't. I wish that I did. I have a friend who's trying to push me to, but I'm bad about it. Taylor, my wife, is much more on that. I don't even know what my Instagram handle is right now. So
yeah. Well, it popped up. You liked something I did the other day, and
I think it's Johnny Utah.
Yeah, Johnny
_Utah. Something else. I can't remember what it is though.
I was like, what is it? I was like, oh, that's Johnny J.
That's a Point Break reference.
Yes. I don't. That was the that TV series for a while. It was a while back.
Keanu Reeves, Patrick Swayze.
Oh, that movie? No. I don't.
Oh, come on.
I'll have to go back and watch it. I was thinking.
Not the new one, the old one.
Old one. We need to be doing some John Wick stuff. You buy your gun from Spotted Dog and you will be John Wick in a week. It's a guarantee.
Stamped.
No, it's not. You'll be done. The way he ejects the mags is wild. Well, dude, I appreciate it. Plug your gym. You can at least do that.
So I train jiu-jitsu at Crone Gracie Jiu-Jitsu in West Monroe. Love to have anyone there. Cops especially, man. I know that we harped on police officers and stuff like that.
It was all out of love.
Yeah, and the thing is that there are a lot of cops that train in there. Chris Hill is one of the black belt instructors. He works he works for Ouachita Parish. Man, that dude's so consistent. There are other guys in there that work for Ouachita Parish, West Monroe PD, Monroe PD. So they are training. And I'll just say this, whenever you come into a gym, no one is out to get you, especially jiu-jitsu. Everyone wants to see you do well. Everyone wants to see you learn. Everyone wants to see you grow. So at the end of the day, I've talked a lot about that, but it really is just about, getting better, really learning more about yourself, about your capabilities and trying to better yourself. So yeah, love to have anyone in there. Yep. All right. Well, dude, let's roll. Let's get out of here. Thanks, man. We got ice coming in a little bit, so we need to go cover up the faucets, baby. Let them drip. So, all right, guys, thank y'all so much. Again, check out Spotted Dog Sporting Goods for all of your shooting and pistols and ammo and suppressor times. Y'all, it has never been quicker to get one. It is ridiculous at how easy it is to get a suppressor these days. And, there's the prices are pretty good. Prices have never been lower. It's an Office reference, but no, suppressors, they're as affordable as they've ever been before. 22 suppressors. That's the one that I didn't bring, dude. That's my favorite. A little Silencer Co. Sparrow. So much fun, but check them out. And if y'all need anything, call the guys down there. We're going to wrap this baby up. So thanks, man. Appreciate it, bro. We'll get you on again. All right. Thank you, guys. Bye.